four, three, two, one.
Hey, Gravity Formers, it's May 15th. We're talking all about Gravity Forms today, all the new updates. We're going to have a guest interview with David Smith of Gravity Wiz, talk about that expansive Gravity Forms universe. And special co-host today, Megan Jones from the marketing team. We're going to learn more about her. You'll see her at WordCamp Europe coming up in just a few short weeks. It's Breakdown, a Gravity Forms podcast. Hello, not Dustin.
Hello, not Dustin indeed.
Megan Jones joins us today on the second episode ever of the Breakdown podcast, the Gravity Forms podcast. Megan, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
So what do you do here at Gravity Forms?
So I'm the marketing lead. I look after all the content, some of the co-marketing, blog, newsletters, emails, and help out with the event stuff and everything marketing related, really.
Including this very podcast. It's a great pleasure to have you here. Before we jump into the notable topic sections, just a quick mention that Gravity Forms 2.7.5, and also probably by the time this episode airs, 2.7.6 was released. You can follow the links in the show notes so that you can see what's going on with that.
The last couple of releases have been sort of updates to 2.7, which was a major release for us, and it came out a couple of months ago now. It has some really great features in, and we've actually had a really good response to it from our customers, which I'm not surprised about, from new users to our developer community, and then everyone in between. We've got a new form template library that's built into the product now, new form settings, enhancements to our honeypot functionality. We've got a new setup wizard and new developer features. So if you are still yet to update and you're a customer, please do so, because you're missing out on some great features. So,
ABU, as in ABC in the sales world, always be closing. In the WordPress world, always be updating.
Be updating, yes.
I just made it on the fly. I just made it on the fly, Megan. This is a crash course in website management. Let's jump in to those notable topics this week. Nonprofit license has officially launched when Dustin and I chatted a little about a week and a half ago when we recorded the first episode. Nonprofit license was just on the horizon. We now have it officially. You can find it at gravityforms.com/nonprofit license. There's a hyphen in there, but check the link in the show notes. Gravity Forms, look, it's the most trusted contact form plugin for WordPress. It's a fantastic form tool for collecting donations. We have Stripe integrations, Square integrations, PayPal integrations. You can now get it for $129. Annual subscription. Doesn't cover multi-site, but it is 3 sites, standard support. And we can talk about some of the other features here in a moment. But congratulations. I know that was an effort you were working on really hard with the team to get out the door.
Yeah, we're delighted actually to launch with it. We've offered a discount for nonprofits for a long time, but this is the first time we've put a official nonprofit license out there for our customers. It is an application process. You do have to meet some of the criteria to get the license, but you can apply at gravityforms.com/nonprofit-license. It includes obviously all the built-in features that all our licenses have with them. And additionally, all of the current add-ons are also included. So that's all of our marketing add-ons, all of our, importantly, payment add-ons, so you can accept donations, and then anti-spam, automations, also all of our feature enhancement add-ons, which are so important to so many of our customers. So that's surveys, quizzes, polls, user registration, signature, webhooks.
Having all of these other add-ons really just completes the probably workflow or life cycle, right, of somebody who's donating to a site or purchasing a product, right? It's not just about that one transaction, but you quickly realize that, Gravity Forms almost acts as like a safety net to say, like, I can solve that for you, Mrs. Customer. Oh yes, don't worry, I have that in my arsenal of Gravity Forms, and the nonprofit license will help you do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's move on from nonprofit licenses. Here's something that's interesting. We are launching into beta. We're going to talk about our beta group in a little bit, but hold that thought. Cloudflare Turnstile Beta is out. We'll link that up in the show notes. Listen, if you're sick of CAPTCHA, or if you don't want to use another Google service, I mean, out of the laundry list of Google services, I highly doubt CAPTCHA would ever be sunset, but Google has done some crazy things before. That's not to say they wouldn't. Turnstile from Cloudflare is a fantastic spam combating alternative. And a lot of us in the agency world have used Cloudflare to manage their DNS records for that layer of protection. And now we can deliver that spam protection right into your Gravity Forms. Coming soon. It's in beta.
It's going to be available on all our licenses. So yeah, if you're Basic Pro or Elite or a nonprofit, now a nonprofit license holder, you'll get access to Cloudflare Turnstile. But it's a great addition to many of our anti-spam tools.
The developers are going nuts about it. as a marketer, as somebody who's just like an end user of WordPress, I'm just like, yeah, I'm sick and tired of trying to pick like the fire hydrant in the Google Capture, and it constantly telling me that I haven't picked enough fire hydrants, or there's just the pictures or the bicycles, right? Is another one. A crosswalk, my God. Traffic lights. How many times can I do that? The Cloudflare Turnstile, which sort of just happens. I don't know how it does the technical side of it. I'm going to have to dig into how it measures what might be a human and not a spammer, but it is with just a click. And I'm sure it's like gathering data, probably a mouse signature across the screen or something like that. But it works way easier.
Yeah. It's based on, or it leverages the same technology behind Cloudflare's managed challenge solution, which is their smart alternative to CAPTCHA, but it's available to everyone. So you don't have to be utilizing Cloudflare's network. You don't have to be a customer. It's now available to it will be available obviously to all our customers. And it's marketing itself as a CAPTCHA-free, frustration-free experience for visitors, and obviously also with a big focus on privacy. If you have had concerns with Google's privacy issues, obviously it's going to be a great alternative for our customers who are looking for something a bit different.
Right. Give our data to yet another big organization, but hey, it's just an alternative to Google. Cloudflare hasn't done anything to upset the world just yet.
I would say they are saying on their site that they are always going to preserve the privacy of web visitors on the site. So that is written in as their marketing spiel at the moment. So we'll see, but that's their promise. Yeah.
It's fantastic. Speaking of an organization that cares about their customers, this week I had the pleasure of interviewing Dave Smith from GravityWiz, which has Gravity Perks. One of our certified developers has a ton of add-ons to Gravity Forms, really helps expand the ecosystem of Gravity Forms. Let's hop into this conversation with Dave. So GravityWiz, you guys do a ton. There's a bunch of extensions, there's snippets, there's add-ons, there's plugins. Coincidentally, it all works with Gravity Forms, thankfully. Tell me a little bit more about GravityWiz. What's the core focus?
We want to help you more than any other company, not just in the Gravity Forms ecosystem, but in the WordPress ecosystem. We go above and beyond to help our customers find solutions. Our product suite is huge, and that was birthed from customer requests. And then in addition, we have a snippet library of over 700 snippets now. And the idea there is, again, just we like to help our customers achieve what they thought was probably going to be either a full-blown custom project or maybe just impossible.
Is there a particular add-on that is the go-to, the most popular, the one that people turn to most for you?
I'd say there's two. The big one is probably Populate Anything. It allows you to populate data from almost any data source into almost any field in Gravity Forms. The possibilities there are just about endless.
Yeah.
Obviously, we do run into some limitations with it, but we're constantly adding new support for populating different types of fields or from different data sources. That's, again, probably our most popular. The other one is Nested Forms. Gravity Forms still doesn't have a solid repeater solution. I know that's coming. I don't know the timeline for that, but so that's kind of the origin. We were just trying to fill that hole. But what ended up happening is actually we built a product that is both a repeater, but also kind of supersedes what you would typically think of as a repeater, allowing you to embed a lot of complexity into your forms by having a parent form for, say, your team. And then you can have a full-blown registration form for a player and do multiple players through a child form. And again, those all interact with Gravity Forms feeds separately. So you can submit and process feeds for those each child form submission, which is just super powerful. And again, opens up a lot of flexibility and possibilities there.
I saw you doing a live demonstration of your plugins. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, when you were populating the field from data that was captured from earlier in the form, right? And I was just like, damn, there's so many good ways to use that. And I think you were demoing like ticket registration, where somebody selected their tickets and then you could show the ticket name that they selected on another part of the form and then allow them to like fine tune like whatever selections that they were doing. This stuff is all really powerful. One of the things that drew me to Gravity Forms, and I know a lot of other people are drawn to Gravity Forms as well, is that you can do these things without being a developer. You're sort of unlocking this ability for non-developers to achieve some success. Do you have any wins that come to mind or case studies that come to mind that you've seen people build for their own clients that you hadn't even thought of with your products?
Dang, that's a great question. And I feel like I should be better prepared for that. It's one of those questions where there's a million examples and it's hard to think of one. Going back just even to the team registration concept with nested forms, nested forms was originally developed as a freelance project years and years ago before it even became a perk. And that idea was itself kind of one of those situations where the customer literally was informing me of the functionality that they needed to do this one thing. And then as I'm developing it, I'm realizing, I'm like, oh man, like this is essentially a template for dozens of other use cases. Populate Anything is the other like really big one where just the use cases that people come up with to solve it are just incredible. The most common is the most expected. And that is, there's just not a good way to populate your choices dynamically. And that was the kind of like the first thought for Populate Anything was, we need a way to get posts populated into a dropdown. We need a way to, and then of course, so we publish a snippet that does that. And then we have a customer that comes through and like, okay, posts are cool, but I actually need to populate users. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then someone else comes, so we add that to the snippet, and then someone else comes along. They're like, hey, I need to populate just directly from the database. I have this custom table in my WordPress database, and I'm using some sort of database manager that lets me interact with it in the WordPress.
You can
admin.
say PHP myadmin. It's okay. You know?
No. we actually don't get. I forget. There's one that's really popular right now. I just forget the name of it, and it's just is fed by this customer demand. That's one thing I give myself no credit for being like an innovator. I just really care about helping people. It just speaks to me. And so it's so hard for me to say no. That is the story of GravityWiz is David's inability to say no. And that has just developed into a successful, sustainable business now.
And you frame it like at least you have sort of like a working template to fill that gap, right? Because now if somebody comes to you and they say, hey, I don't know, this crazy idea they throw at you, and you say, well, maybe I can solve that with a snippet. And here's a snippet, and that'll solve your problem. How is that received with the majority of your customers? Or a lot of people like, I don't know what to do with this snippet of code now. I'm kind of afraid to apply that to my site. Or do they not mind that approach and welcome like a actually baked in feature in the future?
I think we absolutely do get people that are uncomfortable with snippets. It's a little scary, feels a little dirty sometimes to have to throw custom code at a problem. I think most of our customers fall into that group though of They're either solo developers or agencies, and they're just trying to meet client requirements. They want to make sure it's maintainable and sustainable. But then again, that's where having it all in a public snippet library really helps with that, because it kind of speaks to this idea that, hey, this isn't just like this one-off snippet that you're going to hire somebody from Fiverr to write, and you're going to have to get it updated every few months to work with the latest version. It's in our snippet library. We're going to support it indefinitely. Very, very rarely do we deprecate snippets in that library, and typically only once they've just become obsolete, because either we've added the feature to core or Gravity Forms has added that feature to core.
And I'd say you and I have talked about this in the past. The Gravity Form user is, I'll say it because I'm a little bit more biased. Hopefully they're a little bit more seasoned. They're a little bit more competent around WordPress. They're probably an agency owner. They're probably making some money with whatever it is that they're building. In other words, they're a client services or maybe part of a bigger organization. I think that's a huge benefit to the Gravity Forms ecosystem. It's a smart investment for them to pay a little bit more than your average free contact form that's in the WordPress repo, and then pay for your individual perks. And hold that thought, because I want to talk about that in a moment. But what I'm hoping is happening in the industry at large is people are fine with making that trade-off. Sure, there's always a free alternative out there for your stuff, our stuff. But when you make that investment, it's not just the license that you're buying. It's not just the updates that you're buying, but it's the support and the years of experience that both of our companies share together. An agency doesn't want to mess around, man. Like, you want to buy Gravity Forms, you want to buy Gravity Wiz, and you want to rely on that so that your customer, if you're an agency owner listening to this, so that your customer doesn't run into an issue, because you don't want that phone call in the middle of the night.
100%. I fully agree with everything that you just said about, Gravity Forms is a mature ecosystem. And when you have a mature ecosystem, you have that stability that you're looking for as a business owner.
Looking at the website right now, we have basic, advanced, and pro. You have something called perks. I think most people maybe just call those add-ons, but I want to find out why you call them perks in a second here. And then you have basic support, advanced support, and pro partnership. So let's break that stuff down. Talk to me about why it's called perks, and then talk to me about the differences in support.
Yeah. So it actually originally was going to be called Gravity Snippets. And I realized that kind of gave the wrong implication. So then I came up with Gravity Perks, just as like an idea that, hey, these are supposed to be originally, these were supposed to be small feature enhancements to Gravity Forms. Just the things that may not make it into core, but would be super helpful to a Gravity Forms power user. And yeah, my original pricing for this was $108 for the unlimited license, which gave you unlimited perks on unlimited sites. And what was the other one? $54. I had no pricing strategy, nothing. and it worked at the beginning because I actually stayed true to the idea of these really simple perks. And then just listening to customers, what do they need? And they kept asking for more complicated functionality. And so that's how we arrived where we are now. So in some ways, I feel like we've outgrown the name Gravity Perks, where these aren't really small little perks anymore. These are, again, full-blown features, but the branding's just too strong now.
Yeah. Yeah, because you could make the case that Populate Anything could probably stand on its own, right? I mean, that could be
100.
Yeah, like a product on its own. So talk to me about these support tiers. How do you handle that, and what's the advantage for your customers?
Well, we make no secret. Our goal is to get every customer on our pro partnership. Like, we absolutely believe that is the best experience that you will have. Again, we've always strived to keep that basic license as cheap as possible. And it's only ever seen one price increase in the history of that license. So that is just, again, our introductory. We want to just give you a taste of the wizardry that will be at your fingertips. And then soon after, we're hoping that you're going to need more perks to just jump into the pro. That way I don't have to worry anymore about how many perks I have or how many sites I've activated them on. And then in addition to that, you get our pro partnership, which the biggest difference between that and the advanced is we actually support minor customizations as part of that package.
By the time this episode goes out, I should have a blog post, which we'll link up in the show notes, that talks about aligning yourself as an agency owner or a freelancer, aligning yourself with great software to build great solutions. In other words, if you have Gravity Forms and you're using the HubSpot add-on, let's say, you're aligning yourself with HubSpot, and chances are, if you're that freelancer or agency that's like, how do I raise my prices? How do I find better customers? Chances are anyone who's using HubSpot has a little bit of money. They have a budget to pay for HubSpot. They're probably a little bit more technically advanced and they're looking to do better marketing and sales. Already, you're already painting the picture of a better customer avatar. In your case, with all of the perks that you have, all of the add-ons and the solutions that you can build, there's probably a space where there's a solution for customers out there that only GravityWiz can solve. You could probably build a business around it as a custom service agency, I'd imagine, with Populate Anything and like nested forms and all this stuff. Like you could be the person that for that $299 a year for your solution, for your all-in pro plan. I mean, that's nothing when you're probably charging, I don't know, $5,000, $10,000 a site or a solution that you're building for customers, and they're leaning on you for support. Seems like a fair win for all around, I'd say, for something.
Oh, yeah. We have, I mean, just our renewal rate itself, I think, speaks to the satisfaction and the success that our customers are experiencing with that package. It's just insane, like well above industry norms.
Dave Smith, GravityWiz, GravityWiz.com. Where else can folks go to say thanks?
On Twitter, also GravityWiz, and Facebook, also GravityWiz. And I think that's actually it. But our best place is definitely going to be our website, and sign up for our newsletter. You'll see links all over the website if you go there. That's 100% the best way to get in the loop with all the work that we're doing. And we push out new content, actual new content every week.
That discussion with Dave was fantastic. Look, I've have been using Gravity Forms for over a decade. I've known how expanse the universe of Gravity Forms is, no pun intended, but GravityWiz has just a ton of stuff, and it really does expand upon what Gravity Forms is capable of. I was pleasantly surprised talking to Dave to see how far he's taking the add-ons.
Yeah, absolutely. He's actually part of our certified developer program, and we've got some amazing developers in that program, all creating equally as fascinating stuff. So yeah, it's definitely worth checking out our certified developer add-on directory, so you can have a look and see what they're up to, what they're offering there.
We are working on a beta group. We hinted at that
We are,
earlier in the show. Folks listening to this perhaps already received an email about it some time ago. The beta group. We are introducing our new beta add-ons, including Turnstile, May 22nd. If fingers crossed, all goes well, that date should stand. A live Q&A, live stream, dare I say, webinar to the beta group only, right? So if you want to be part of the beta group, you have to click the link in the show notes. It's the beta user group. It'll take you to a registration form. You have to be a license holder of Gravity Forms. There's a Facebook group and an email newsletter now. Potentially in the future, we'll have something else for folks to communicate on. If you're not a fan of Facebook, just stay connected to the newsletter, because we'll be dropping our recordings of our live streams there, and all of our communication will actually start on the email newsletter. So if you want to be part of the Gravity Forms beta user group, again, click the link in the show notes. That'll take you there. I think the product team is looking for feedback, right? Big surprise. They're looking for engagement. They're looking for feedback on the product.
Yeah, definitely. And it's, like you said, it's a new program. We're pretty excited about it. We're excited to show what we're working on to our customers. We're excited to see what they think of it.
And that'll be going out in email as well. Again, join that newsletter to subscribe and get access to that. In our show notes, in our internal show notes for this episode, you wrote down Google Analytics update. Tell me more about the Google Analytics update. Have you heard anything? I haven't found anything? What's the deal with Google Analytics? I know where the whole world is going, oh my God, how do we get to GA4 before all of this stuff burns down? Do you have
Yeah.
any insight for us?
I mean, I don't know if I've got the insight, but I know we ourselves are moving or migrating at the moment. So we are dealing with it firsthand. I mean, I'm sure everyone using Google Analytics is well aware. If you go into your universal count at the moment, there's a massive warning sign with a countdown timer to stress you
I
out.
love it when software does that to you, right?
Oh,
Like,
yes.
warning, this is all going to implode if you don't do
Yeah.
something.
Yep. Everything is going to never work again if you don't act now. So if you're on a free account, Google Analytics, a universal free account, to migrate to GA4, which, side note, actually is an amazing platform. I'm from the UK. We have a huge SEO conference that runs once a year in the city that I live in. And I actually went last month to a training day. It was like a fringe training event, and did a whole day's training on GA4, and it was fascinating. So if you haven't yet looked into it, I would recommend some sort of course. There's some online boot camps I've seen advertised. It's definitely worth finding out more about, because the custom reporting, for example, is really impressive. And from a marketing point of view, I'm very excited about what we can do with it going forwards. But the initial steps, obviously, are to migrate to GA4. And then from Gravity Forms' point of view, if you have got our Google Analytics add-on installed, you will need to take some action. We have a 2.0 update coming soon. When that comes out, you will need to update the add-on, go in and re-authenticate with Google Analytics, and you will also need to update your existing feeds. Now, in preparation for that, last week, we released Google Analytics add-on 1.3. And as part of that release, we are letting people know what's coming. And we have also blocked auto updates. So when 2.0 comes, you will need to go in and manually update. And that is because if you don't re-authenticate and update your feeds, your data will not be processed to GA4.
If you heard me say ABU earlier, just throw that out the
Absolutely.
window. I've already
Oh,
failed.
yes, absolutely not. In fact, yeah, absolutely not appropriate in this case. I mean, we would like you to update to 1.3 if you don't have automatic updates enabled. But then after that, when 2.0 comes, yeah, you will need to take some action. So keep an eye out for that. It's an important one.
Did you preface the I'm from the UK because in Google Analytics, there's less data about visitors than there are in the US? Is that why you had to preface it with the UK? We have better data privacy policies. Is that what you're hinting at?
Absolutely not. But I should have prefaced it when I talked about beta, because I know I say that in a very
No.
different way.
Oh, man. Speaking of struggling with code, I'm not a coder, and I wrote this thing on the Gravity Forms blog, WordPress plus Gravity Forms, a no-code solution. Look, I think it's fairly obvious for folks who are listening to this podcast that it is a fantastic no-code solution. This combination of Gravity Forms and our add-ons in our ecosystem provides coders of all sorts because there's varying degrees of capabilities. Like, I can do HTML and CSS, but that's where I stop. One might consider me a coder because I can do that. But then there's engineers and developers above me. So I look at it as a great platform to build these things. You can hear some of that talk in this interview with Dave that was previously played. If you skipped around the podcast and you didn't hear my interview with Dave, cycle back a few minutes and you can listen to Dave and I chat about it. But then I also have a future episode coming up with another certified developer, now referenced as Cosmic Giant, was once called For Gravity. We talk a lot about no-code solutions and how you can build an entire business with add-ons and Gravity Forms to service customers, right? And I think that's a really powerful tool in this day and age.
I read that article, Matt, that you wrote, and I loved it, and I could totally relate, especially as someone in marketing. Gravity Forms, obviously, we set it up. It collects our customer data, it collects our leads data, and it automatically sends it where we want. Didn't even need to think about code, let alone write any.
Right.
And like you said, and like we talked about earlier, it doesn't just stop with Gravity Forms, it's our whole ecosystem. Dave was talking about earlier, really complex things. And we should also mention here Gravity Flow, which used to be a certified developer and Gravity Forms actually acquired it last summer. It's a really powerful automation tool.
There's a stigma around no code, especially in the WordPress space. There's a lot of purists, right? Where customizing WordPress, they need to open up a code editor and do all this stuff, especially the days of like functions PHP. But you're certainly not coding your contact form from scratch. Why would you, right? You look at that, and you say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just buy Gravity Forms and use that solution. Sometimes what people perceive as like shortcuts is also perceived as like this, I don't know, like bad thing. Like, oh, you should always do things the hard way, right? People don't hate their washer machines. They're not going outside scrubbing their clothes on a washboard anymore, putting it in a bucket. And I will never do it the easy way anymore. No, like we find an easy path, an easy scalable path, and no code can vary depending on who you are, what you do. And I think Gravity Forms is set up to be the hub of that.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
WordPress.
Let us do the hard work for you.
We'll move into our What's New with WordPress segment. We look at 3 links that we think might be of interest to you as a WordPress user, freelancer, or agency owner in the space, something that that you will be attending right around the corner, Megan. I think you're attending, right? WordCamp in Europe.
Yes, that's right. Yep. It's in Athens, so only about 3 hours flight for me. Obviously, some of our US guys much longer, but we are sponsoring. We're sending a team, and we can't wait to get there. We attended WordCamp US, and we also flew out to Bangkok for the first ever WordCamp Asia in February. Both were great events. The WordCamp US was our first event since COVID, so that was special. And WordCamp Asia was the first ever WordCamp in Asia. So that was also a really special occasion and really nice to be a part of. And it was really well run. The volunteers did an amazing job for their first ever. You would never have known it was their first ever WordCamp. So great to be a part of. And WordCamp EU, here we come.
June 6th through the 8th. Look for the Gravity Form. And are we having such an elaborate booth as we had in Asia? Because that one was pretty phenomenal.
It's a similar design. It is a little bit smaller. It's a much bigger event. We've got our different niche space gravity things to play with. I'll say no more than that. And obviously, we've got all our swag that we are well known for. We'll have our T-shirts, our stickers, and a few other bits and bobs. We're also going to be running a giveaway. More to come on that in the next few weeks. So if you're attending, please swing by our booth. We love to chat with customers and hear what you've been up to at Gravity Forms, and we love to meet new people or just talk WordPress generally. So swing by and say hi, please.
I always love the design of our T-shirts. Check those out. They go fast in the Gravity Forms booth.
They do go fast. We'd nearly given away all our T-shirts in the first day at WordCamp Asia. So, don't hang around. Come and find us.
Eric Karkovac from the WP Minute writes about 20 years of WordPress, the impact on freelancers. WordPress is celebrating its 20th birthday next week, or this week when you're listening to it, but next week for us. And he breaks down all of the important sort of milestones. And a lot of it we actually hinted at here today. Obviously, 20 years in, 2 decades in technology is zillion years old, right? And what he writes about is it's a proven, reliable foundation for any project. And you can debate that depending on your coding language of choice. But I think 20 years stands the test of time, and still plenty of opportunities for monetization. Again, we're talking to our certified developers here in the Gravity Forms ecosystem. They're building solutions for us. Folks are using Gravity Forms to do different things. There's still plenty of opportunity here. You might have to get a little bit more, I don't know, lean and mean with your marketing and standing out as an agency or freelancer. But there's definitely opportunities still, which you can't really say. Many other 20-year-old pieces of software still have the opportunity that WordPress has. So it's definitely a good read, and I encourage you to check that out. Again, link in the show notes. Last article or last bit of news that we wanted to just point your attention to, covered by WP Tavern. Future podcast guest right here on Breakdown, Michelle Frechette. Anyone who spends any time in the WordPress community has probably come across Michelle's work. Recently launched WPSpeakers.com, WPSpeakers.com. If you're looking for a guest for your podcast, somebody to speak at your virtual event or in-person event, or if you want to register to be a person who could be chosen for one of those tasks, you can go to wpspeakers.com. It's a free registry to do that. Check that out. At the time of this recording, there's just over 200 people registered. And I'm sure by the time this episode goes out, there'll probably be 300 plus, knowing Michelle and the reach. So it's a pretty fantastic website to browse and meet new people in the WordPress community.
Yeah, great project there. Michelle's a big advocate for underrepresented groups in the WordPress community, and hopefully it will help people make informed choices when they're inviting people onto their podcasts and to different events.
Sadly, though, not powered by Gravity Forms. We won't hold that against Michelle, but I'll ask her when she's on the podcast. That's it for the breakdown episode today. We're still in soft launch mode, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If you are somebody listening to this, you're one of the lucky ones that knows about this podcast before it has really launched out into the world. Any feedback you have would be fantastic. You can tweet at us. You can email me. You can go to our contact form on our page because we do things called contact forms, and you can send us a note about the show. If you want to be interviewed, go to form, FORMMM .WTF, form.wtf, and click the link and fill out the form there. That link will also be in the show notes. Megan, it's fantastic hanging out with you today.
Oh, it's been fun, Matt. Thanks. My pleasure.